Greetings from Better Than Duct Tape. What we have here is a typical electric water heater that is in need of flushing, something every water heater needs to have done at least annually. Gas appliances, natural gas, propane as well. And what I've done here is hooked up a extra washer hose connection and taken it out the dryer vent hole in the wall. And when you hook up these connections, be very careful. This entire valve is just plastic, not a great design, but not intended to be used very often, typically just once a year. And if you do this, there'll be little to no buildup of mineral inside the tank. The number one killer of water heaters is corrosion. The water tank inside the water heater is actually coated in glass like an old style thermos, and when the mineral built up in the bottom, it forces microscopic cracks in the glass, which allows the exposed steel to start corroding. And many times you'll see some moisture coming out from the bottom of the water heater. In this case, that's just some leakage coming out of the valve when I connected the hose. But this would be the telltale sign of water leaking out of the tank. And that's the beginning of the end for the tank. Another thing to consider is anodes under covers on the top of the tank. There are often particularly in electric water heaters, a sacrificial anode. It's a piece of metal made out of aluminum or magnesium coated rod that threads into the tank and drops down inside it almost the whole height of the tank. And its activity, its corrosion, prevents the tank from corroding, hence the idea of a sacrifice. Sacrificial anodes need to be changed out regularly depending on how corrosive the water is in your area. Ours happens to have a lot of magnesium and calcium buildup that sticks to everything, fills up water filters really fast, and you change out that sacrificial anode and you'll keep protecting the water heater indefinitely. And as long as the regular draining is done and the sacrificial anode is maintained, about the only thing that'll really go wrong beyond that will be once in a while a heating element might burn out with over time, or a thermostat that controls them might go out. This is a reset button, this little red dot here. Once in a while those need to be reset. This is also where you adjust your temperature setting. Usually you're going to want at least 125 degrees. It's definitely a personal preference. Be aware that 120 degrees is considered scalding hot, enough to burn most average person's skin. So use this with caution, use this adjustment. Obviously, if you crank this all the way up to 150, you're going to have very hot water coming out of your tap, and you'll also be using much more electricity or gas if that's your case. These systems by design are considered to maintain 125 as their optimum situation. 120, 125. That's, basically the engineering of how much insulation is in this jacket and how many watts the heating elements are, the power draw on them when they're being used, are all optimized for that kind of temperature. Once the decision is made that you have to do something hotter for maybe like a commercial restaurant environment, you're going to see a lot more of the on-demand water heaters, especially gas-powered, because they can handle 145 degrees no problem, nonstop, continuous use, and very little problems with those nowadays. Everybody was very scared of them initially, but they were always trying to buy the cheapest one they could, and it was always typically undersized. The smallest ones that they were selling initially were only good for a single use location, say perhaps a little on-demand water heater underneath the sink, just to heat water for that sink. Great consideration for a sink that would be at a great distance from the water heater, all the way across the room, maybe multiple floors, like a bathroom sink in a half basement, or a half bath in a basement, things like that, where running hot water piping from a water heater 100 feet ends up being pretty impractical, not very cost effective, and pretty wasteful. And the hot water that you get at the end of that 150 feet ends up being not nearly as hot as what came out of the water heater. So all these things are pretty easy to promote and figure out. So anyway, as it is, we have this hose hooked up. I've turned off the circuit breaker so that the heating element isn't continually trying to heat the water that's going to go right outside the hose. In our location, we've got a considerable problem with sediment in the water, hence that golden brown color coming out. So what I've been doing is running some water out that disturbs the bottom of the tank, get some of that sediment moving. Now let it sit for a minute. Now that the water's stirred up again, and the sediment will drop back down. And this is my own water heater at my house, so I can take time to do this in incremental steps. But basically, I encourage everybody with a hot water heater to do these kinds of maintenances at least every year, depending on your water quality. I hope all the benefits of this treatment will give you long-lasting use out of your water heater. And if you have any questions, just throw them in the comments. Thank you for your time.